Are we ready?
Yes, we are ready.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to the April 17th meeting of the Oak Point City Council. If you'd please silence your cell phones. And we're going to start with the invocation. Our gracious Father, we always want to thank you for beautiful Oak Point. We ask for your blessings and your protection for all our residents and our staff, and especially our police officers, our firefighters, and our EMTs. Thank you for the gift of your presence and how you are always available. Your power and love is limitless. In God we still trust. Amen.
Amen.
And the pledges.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Item number 4 is police officer recognitions. Chief Tattoo.
Good evening. I'm going to try to set the stage real quick. So, we all know that we have a 7-Eleven, and it's just an attraction to some bad guys that don't live in Oak Point. So, last month, a citizen stopped Sergeant Heineman, who was on 720, and told him that there was a male subject in the parking lot of 7-Eleven handling a gun. So Sergeant Heineman goes to 7-Eleven. As soon as Sergeant Heineman gets out of the vehicle and goes to the front door, the described vehicle starts to drive away. I watched the security camera footage, and what actually happened was a vehicle with 3 individuals went in and parked in front of 7-Eleven. The driver exited, went into 7-Eleven, he went to the restroom, and then went straight back to the car. So if you continue watching the video, 7-Eleven was pretty packed during that time, so there was quite a few people there. This car sat there for at least 10 minutes, just sitting in the parking lot. I know that the driver was casing the place first, so they were waiting for it to die down. So that Sergeant Heineman, he hits that front door, the vehicle starts to reverse and tries to leave, so he happens to stop the car. Officer Harding actually comes up and is able to block the car in from the front, and from there they do an investigative stop. They found a couple drug items and then also a handgun in the front seat, as described by the citizen. We do a little bit more digging, and they've got a bunch of warrants for their arrests, which they were taken in on. Then we also found out that these 3 individuals were tied to other robberies in multiple cities in the metroplex. So I have no doubt that they were waiting for someone to die down before they ended. So I wanted to commendate these officers for their good job for catching that, because that's one of the many things I worry about is 7-Eleven getting robbed again. And Lieutenant Bazowski is going to present their awards to them. So Sergeant Heineman and Officer Blake Harding, if you would come. Mayor, if you want to come up.
Have you had them? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We're so very proud of you. Thank you for all you do to keep us safe. Thank you so much.
Speech?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, we appreciate you very much. Agenda item number 5, items of community interest. Joni, would you like to go first?
Let's see, we have, no, we're done with events until Freedom Fest, which we're gonna have a title planning meeting, just to kind of go over the, the basics. So that'll be in the works. And then I think you all got an email, but the audience may need to know that our website is under construction. So we're sorry that it's not all the way functional, but we are very excited about the fresh new look that it's getting. It was 5 years old, so the website company automatically does a refresh for us. And Brad and some people in the police department and the fire department have been working together to kind of just spruce it up and then give additional pages to police and to fire. So we are excited about what's to come on our new website. And hopefully in a few days, you'll be able to see all of it. It'll be totally touched.
Thank you to everyone on staff that helped with Spring Fest. It was an excellent event and our residents had a good time. Thank you so much. I want to recognize that this week is Telecommunicators Week, a national recognition, and telecommunicators are the 911 dispatch operators. Our city uses Denton County Sheriff's Office telecommunicators, and I just want to express our appreciation for them keeping all of our residents and our DPS safe. Council, do y'all have any comments? Okay. Public input is number 6. We have some cards. Jeff Stafford, you wish to speak during public input, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
My name is Jeff Stafford, 780 Emerald Sound Boulevard. I have been an Oak Point resident for probably 25 years or so. I am running for the Mustang Special Utility Water District Board. Finally getting opposed, and so I was just coming up to tell people that this is a very significant election. There's some people that Mustang took over another city's water, and they are coming in and trying to disrupt what's going on with Mustang Water. So May 4th is a vote. You can go vote early. April, what's next Monday, 24th? 22nd, or that week. You can go vote early if you want to. Vote for the first 3. Any questions or anything? I guess you guys-
What's the position on the ballot, and what's the name of the office on the ballot?
Director?
Board of Directors. Yes. So thank you so much for letting me come and comment on that.
Thanks, Jeff.
Sure.
Did anyone else wish to speak at this time? Okay. Agenda item number 7, presentation and discussion of the following reports. The financial report for March 2024. Council, do you have any questions?
I have a question. I don't have it in front of me, Donna, but I noticed that the DPS overall budget should be 50%, right, halfway through the year?
Yes.
And it's like 51.5% or something. Amounts to about 40 grand. I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, I'm sure we can get caught up by the end of the year, but we're over budget, the way I read it. Is that correct?
Sometimes it's a lot of timing. Things are due at different times of the year, so it's gonna make the percentages either high or low.
It's only 1%, so I'm not too worried about it. Just want to highlight and make sure there's anything to be worried about.
And could there possibly be some training that's heavier in this part of the year than it will be in the next 6 months?
Yes.
That's what I figured.
Municipal court
Hold
report?
on. So there was a big dip on sales tax. Was any clue as what?
Yeah, sales tax has,
Or are we still
We're
balancing
still
the
in the on
budget?
board period.
we're still.
Still doing a deal on
But it wasn't as big a dip this time. It was a much smaller dip, but it still was less.
I just got the paperwork yesterday, I believe, for April. It's like a $2,000 difference from last April. Still should be a little higher, but we're still seeing a little bit of that.
Anything else, Council? Municipal Court Report for March 2024, any questions? Permits Report for March 2024, Council, have any questions? All right. Department of Public Safety Report for March 2024. Chief Tattoo, would you like to start? Would you like to tell us about accreditation?
Yes. Just an update that we were hindered for a little bit. We had to remove Officer Stevens and put him back on patrol because we needed him on patrol. And then Officer Ward has actually been great, and he's taking up that role as program manager to help us out with accreditation. At this point, we're roughly about 25% on through completion. So and we've got the ball rolling, so we're on a good momentum right now.
Did you have to switch Officer Stevens because there is a shortage for patrol?
Yes.
So you need more officers.
How many officers are we down?
Three down there.
Out of total?
Total 18.
Any overriding reason why this is, or it's just timing?
It's just timing on so far, since I've been appointed, at least one officer's left. For whatever reason, they went to another department, so we're averaging about one officer leaving a year, which is typical. So we had to leave in December. As we were trying to fill in another one from May. So.
Would it be correct to say that when you're down a couple of officers, it becomes more stressful for everyone else in DPS because they have to make up for it or they can't take time off?
Yes, the guys in the troops are awesome. They're filling in. They need to. So if one officer needs to take a vacation, our minimum staffing now is two per shift. And so right now, that's all we have now is for 2 per shift. And so the guys have been, like I said, they've been great with filling in when they need to. I feel bad because sometimes you have to overwork them, but they're being true to that. They're being awesome. And with them on, they're not so much they can. So it's been a lot.
Any opportunities on the horizon to backfill these positions?
Yes, we've actually got, we have 4 applicants right now that we're going through. And it's sad to say, we've been cutting, we've been cutting, I'd say off the top of my head, we cut about 15 people that applied. So we're getting applications in, it's just, they're not making it for one reason or another. So I'd rather have a good officer rather than take a chance on a bad one. So that's why we've been cutting more than we've been taking in. So we do have one process right now.
Good. Thank you.
Any other questions for Chief Tattoo?
So in the new cases report, there was a couple things: organized retail, shoplifting. Is that connected to this?
That's part of the robbery, yes.
Yeah, okay.
When did that actually occur?
Three Saturdays ago. Yes, 3 Saturdays ago.
What's the outcome of the suspects or whatever? What happened to them?
They're all in jail, well, they're in jail now. But I don't know if it's perfect to mention, but one of them bailed out and he's no longer with us because he decided to go and overdose on fentanyl. It's that type of people that we're trying to keep out.
Can you tell us what cities they're from? Because I'm sure they don't live in Oakland.
Where there's, no, they didn't go Not down.
Thank you. Chief Roach?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council. I don't have any interesting stories. A lot of interesting in our police officers. They've been really doing a great job lately. We do have some update on the paramedic students that are in class. They're starting cardiology this week. That is one of the major sections of paramedicine. They will soon complete that and start their clinicals. Students seem to be doing great. They put in a lot of work. There was a post last week or so. They had a Saturday that they practiced in trauma, so the King Fire Department assisted with the college, putting on mass shooting type incidences, things like that, trauma accidents and things like that. So they've been doing really good. They're all getting great grades, attendance as well. We're excited to come back and start actually doing it in the field. One of the other things, training was still up this month. As Mayor Pro Tem Lusk mentioned, that can be part of that different training that's taken. So there was some additional training that myself and Battalion Chief Sancy went to at the National Fire Academy in Emmitsburg, Maryland. So that was an additional expense on this last report. However, portions of that get refunded from the government once that gets processed, so some of that money is coming back in. That was a great experience. It was 2 weeks, so it was some time away. The battalion chiefs on staff, they did a great job keeping everything under control while we were gone. They had a lot of good information there about financial management. Fire service financial management was the name of the class. Really good instructors on that. A lot of things to try to help keep our budget in place and run a fire department. Always, any training we go to, one of the biggest things you bring away from that is you're networking with other chiefs, and several chiefs, Chief of Blue, several of the states up there. There was 3 of us from Texas, myself and Chief Sansing, and then the deputy chief from McAllen. So everybody else was from all over the nation. So we got to experience a lot of different conversations, things they're struggling with, things they're having great returns on, stuff like that. Was one of the other ones. Oh, from something you guys generally experience, I've never gone to until this last week. I got a chance to get a scholarship that paid for the class for TML Leadership Academy. I know a lot of mayors and council members there, so I thought it was a really good class. I don't know if all of y'all or if any of them experienced that, but it's something that generally y'all are accustomed to going to those sort of things. That was a really good class though. I got to see and talk to a lot of guys from, see it from y'all's side of it as well. So that was a really good experience. Again, it didn't cost anything, but just the time to be down there. So other than that, fire department's running good. Good training on the.
Thank you for your great work also on Citizens Academy.
Oh,
And I've got to recognize Officer Horn that's organizing that. He's doing a wonderful job. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
And I loved last week when I got to break a windshield.
And I feel bad. I feel bad because I was actually asked about why we didn't do a post, but yourself and one of the other attendees did a great job of spreading that through Facebook. I didn't feel the need to redundant it, so. But no, it was very exciting. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
It's great. Thank you.
We did realize that what we forgot to do, we actually went and bought the eggs. And I told you about this before. We were supposed to have done an egg challenge where you use our jaws of life to see if you can tenderly grab an egg off of a traffic cone and move it without cracking the egg. That thing has 60,000 pounds of pressure on it hydraulically, so we didn't get to do that, unfortunately. Next time. Make sure it happens next time.
That'll be great.
Thank you.
Chief, a meeting or 2 ago, we had an extensive conversation about the need for an ambulance. Is there any sort of update or?
So we have reached out to, again, thank you for the offer for that, and we reached out to another company we've been looking into. They've yet to really come back with information yet, but we sent them information on kind of what our situation is. Where we're at with the department size, all the demographics area we covered, all those information they need to kind of work that data. And so right now they're putting something together to then come back and say, hey, this is where we're at. If you want us to look further into this, obviously they're going to give us a price tag on that, and we'll kind of evaluate that next and see if there's something you guys decide we need to move forward with on, letting them kind of take a look at it and give us their input, or if we use this thing that kind of move forward.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
but hopefully with this next month, I'll have a better update on that and kind of move forward.
Thanks.
So we're still working on the rewording our open fire ordinance.
Yes, and I apologize again, there's something that's kind of taking the backseat, some of the additional training and stuff that we've been going under. But there's really very things Steve and I have been talking about that really need to go in there. Again, that pile size limitation, maybe some adjustments on. I think we were kind of not on the same page on what I thought you guys were wanting to make changes to, and we weren't really looking to make changes to. I know there's the kind of request of an all-out ban, but I think it was more of just a moral control. We're still doing that anytime a burn comes in through the county's reporting system. So the citizens have been doing really good. It's more than I've seen in 20 years of being here of the notifying us that, hey, the intent to burn. So that's really gotten out there quite a bit with the citizens knowing to check burn days, if it's allowed or not to do in county, and then actually making that notification to us. So the battalion chiefs are still getting those calls in, and we're still going out and double checking, making sure circumstances are the same, the area is safe, all the safety precautions are in place. So that's really been a good uptick. But yeah, that's just, there's still so much to it. It's got to finish those last few things, kind of get in there and get it over to Jeff's office to kind of finalize that, say, hey, And so just kind of make sure, I think there was just some confusion on what we were adding and didn't intend to add. So our burn ordinance is very limited. So we just gotta get that place and get that out there, because we are coming into that season. Right now, there's a lot of everyday people kind of burning stuff that's so green and lush right now too. There's not really a large concern for that, spread of the hazard. But obviously we'll get into that as it starts to get warmer and dry out over the summer.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah.
Number 8, report from council liaison. A, update on the park April meeting.
Okay, so the park board approved $600 for the swing pads to keep a dip from happening. And unfortunately, Brad said there was no way that we could lower the individual cost or the unit cost because Eagles Landing and others wanted the same item, but something about sales tax exemption or something prevented us from doing that. So the kiosk is still on track for May. And pickleball courts are still being designed by the was it ACC or whatever that company is that's heading that up. The community gardens kind of hit a little snag in that there's somebody said, well, what happens if somebody just walks into a community garden and harvests everything or a lot of somebody else's stuff? So Brad said he'd work on how other cities deal with that issue. And that's all I had.
Thanks, Scott. Number 9, consider an act upon the minutes of the March 20th, 2024 City Council regular meeting. Any comments? If not, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the March 20th, 2024 City Council regular meeting. John's got it.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Horatio. We have a second by Mayor Pro Tem Lusk. Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. 10, conduct a public hearing to hear comments regarding a request for a special use permit at 520 Diamond Point Drive that would allow for a roof pitch that is less than the 8-12 roof pitch required by ordinance. Mr. Coker's not here. Can you help us, Stephen?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. Mr. Coker's on vacation this week, so I guess I get to take this on. At the previous planning and zoning meeting, there was an applicant Mr. Roy Garden from Tartan Homes that made an application to request a roof pitch of less than 8-12. Mr. Coker had reviewed his request and made a recommendation to the Planning and Zoning Commission to deny the request for the reduced roof pitch. The Planning and Zoning Commission then, considering the testimony, I guess, that was presented, voted, entered in a tie vote on a recommendation, and a tie results in a recommendation to deny. So if I can answer any more questions, I can answer more during the actual agenda item if you like. So
Does a tie invoke the supermajority from council to overrule?
Yeah, if I may, yeah, I mean, it's a 3-3 vote is in effect a denial.
Right.
And so to overcome the recommendation of denial, it takes a 3/4 vote of the whole council. We've got one absent here today. So it's 3/4 of the 7, which is 6.
6 of 7.
6 of 7, and with one absent, it's 6 of 6 to overcome the recommendation of denial. And so I think you got a couple options. You can obviously have it set for hearing, take the public hearing. You could send it back to P&Z to get a full 7 recommendation, or take the vote here tonight.
Okay. Thanks for helping us.
Oh, you're welcome.
Any other questions for Stephen? Okay. If not, I will open the public hearing at 6:26 PM. And Roy, would you like to speak at this time?
Yes. Roy Guerin, 921 Emerald Sound Boulevard. I'm the builder on the project. Joni, can you go to the,
Actually, they all have a copy.
oh, they do. The roof, colored coated part? This one here. So you can see the key on the sides, the 812 or greater is the blue areas. The green are the dormers that are allowable because they're non-active dormers. And then the other ones are just architectural features, so that's the green part. And then when we get to the specific use permit will be the yellow items. There's actually none on the front of the house. That seems to be the biggest part of contention. But we do have them on the left side, and which is going to be a porte-cochere garage. It faces the rear of the house also, and then the big back porch. And then back in, let's see, July 7th of July 6th of 2023, you had passed the motion from Toll Brothers to accept the 412 pitch on the rear of the house. The house sits back, the main part of the house sits back, the front of it is 375 feet from the street. And then the porte-cochere garage is 315 feet. And there's none of these roofs that are 412 or 312 can be seen from the street or any of the areas close by. So, and then we have a list, the first page. I have drove through the subdivision, and it's a partial list. There's 28 addresses on there. I know these are grandfathered in, but this gives you a good idea of how below 812 pitch, it's an architectural feature that a lot of people would like to use. And it's pretty prominent in Emerald Sound, which is custom homes, and it keeps away from the cookie cutter look. So, and then there's a photograph of, on the fourth page, on the bottom there, there's two guys standing there, and that's 315 feet from the street. That's how much you can see of the people. We're right under the arrow. Does anybody have any questions?
So what is the pitch you're trying to create here?
We want to go with 412. The cutoff for shingles is a 412 pitch. That's the only reason I could see anything about roof pitch guidelines to protect the citizens. If they would do a 412 pitch and don't use metal, they use shingles, there's a good possibility it could leak. So that's probably where all of ours are metal roofs. So we shouldn't have issues with that. I don't even know why. I've been doing this for 32 years, and I have no idea why that's one of the guidelines. It doesn't make sense.
I'm sorry, are you saying that all the roof materials for this home will be metal?
No, it's the main part. The blue areas are going to be shingles. The yellow and green areas will be metal roofs.
And I guess to help me understand, what's the downside of complying with the current ordinance?
It's just it's an architectural feature. It's just part of the drawing. So you can see the one on the right side in the shingled area. You can see the metal roof in there.
It's not a pointer, it's a microphone.
Oh, is it? No, I thought it was a pointer.
No.
We have a
we
pointer
have a
though.
pointer. I thought I had one later.
Maybe it's this.
You guys can use that one. That one doesn't, the only thing that works on that one now is the pointer. But this one has a pointer.
Oops. It changed did I do that?
No, it's not. There you
See,
go.
right there is where, that roof right there. It's a dormer, and Stephen said that if it wasn't an active dormer, then, we could do the metal roof on top of that, and that wouldn't come into play.
Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The public hearing is,
We have other speakers.
Anyone else?
yes, the only speaker. Let's see. Does anyone else wish to speak at this time? You don't want to speak, you can.
No, I just said I'm in favor, there's no reason why.
Stephen, do you have any other comments or?
I don't know. I heard Mr. Gary said that it was all 412, but isn't that over that third car garage at 312? Unless that's-
on 312.
That's all I would have to say.
Okay, we're gonna close the public hearing at 6:33. Any discussion or questions for Stephen or Jeff?
So Stephen, do you have any sense of, we've gotten lots of documentation here, people for and opposed to residents and neighbors and things. Do you have any sense of what the consensus is here? Of people that have voiced an opinion?
Did we read the?
Yeah, that's why but have we gone to the next
we
agenda
read
item?
The next item, and then we can discuss.
I will go to the next item.
Okay.
Just a moment, please. Number 11, consider an act on a request for a special use permit at 520 Diamond Point Drive that would allow for a roof pitch that is less than the 812 roof pitch required by ordinance. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Do I have to repeat the question?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Is there any consensus based on the input that we've gotten from neighbors and residents regarding?
More specifically, what's the scoreboard?
I think it was
You guys have
3-2.
the sheets.
We have sheets, but I need to summarize it. And then there's people within 200 feet, right?
I think
There are some within 200 feet, there are some that are other places in the neighborhood, and I think it's
What's the score on the 200 feet?
maybe,
It's not 3-3. 4-3. 4-3 is that kind of favor.
let me find there was a list I had that was, Michael sent. So I know that Francis he's within 200 feet. The second one is a text message. He was not on my list, but they say he's next door, I think. So he was not on the list Michael gave me. Deborah lives in the neighborhood, but not within 200 feet. I believe, I might have to go get my list from the office. I believe that Griffin's, one of these other two emails were on the list. And I can go get the list if you want.
The Stewarts and the Loves were opposed on that.
Right, they were opposed, and one of them, I believe, was within 200 feet. But if you want, I can run to the office and get the email.
Well, I just kind of like know the
Which
score.
were 200 feet?
Yeah,
Which
200
ones
feet.
of these people?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me go grab that email. We'll run it over.
I got some questions for Steve while you're
Because I don't think I put it in this file.
May I ask a question?
Have at it here.
Stephen, regarding the code on this, is the code clear or is there any ambiguity?
No, the code's very clear. As a matter of fact, it's very simple. It just simply says that an 8 to 12 roof pitch is required unless an exception is provided by city council or by city council, I believe is how it reads. So it's very clear. It doesn't give a lot of direction. It does say over the main roof area, and that's why we looked at some of the of what Mr. Guerin presented to show the green areas that would be permissible. So areas that extended out beyond the main area of the house that were in green, and there was a false dormer on the top. If you look at that dormer doesn't really have to be on that house. It's just on there for decoration. It's not really a part of the main roofing structure. So, that could be less than an 8 to 12 on there. But those are the areas. Anywhere else, the ordinance is just pretty clear. It says any of the main roofing structure has to be an 8 to 12 pitch.
So Stephen, I guess, I obviously don't live in Emerald Sound. You can tell by the church over there. But I see 28 places in Emerald Sound that supposedly have less than 8 to 12 pitch. I haven't checked it, but I take it at his word. How can we have so many of them that are all out of whack? Yet ordinances out there.
Grandfather.
All right, so we didn't adopt a zoning ordinance until 2001. Now, I don't know what years each one of these houses were built, and I'm sure there's one or two that probably got past this somewhere along the lines between 2001 and 2024, but I don't think all 28 did. So.
So at the P and Z meeting, which I missed, was there the same presentation there with this layout and so forth, or was it less?
It was.
It was pretty much the same presentation. Yeah.
This wasn't.
The color coded part wasn't.
Yeah.
I didn't have the color coded part,
Right.
where you can see it's less than like almost 10% of the total roof.
Yeah, this is, I
So,
don't want to do that myself, but sure, go ahead.
and it seems to me that it's similar to the SUP or the exception that was given to Toll Brothers on roofs that weren't visible from the street.
With the exception of this garage on the front, and I don't know what this other pitch is up here on.
And so the concern is the yellow, correct?
Yes.
I believe I'm not certain about this yellow on the very back of the house. I thought that was a porch back there, but
It is a porch.
so that would probably be allowed as well because it's not over the main structure. So it looks like from what I can see, that's not up. It looks like mostly on the left. If you're looking at the paper on the left side, the two yellow areas might be the areas in concern, and then this accessory structure, which I don't know how Mr. Guerin plans to deal with that because the Board of Adjustments denied that being in front of the primary structure.
We're gonna redraw it.
Okay. So that may not be a factor at all on the back of the primary structure if you're going to redraw it.
We can forget about it.
So essentially, from what I see, if you're looking at this, on the left side of the building, these two areas in yellow would be the area of concern, and depending on how they redraw this accessory structure, we'd have to revisit that. But on the primary structure itself, these two areas on the left.
So what would that do to the architectural design of the building to alter those two places?
It really wouldn't affect it really too much. We are doing Tesla shingles, but that's mainly on the back of the house. So if it's not approved, we'll eat up some of that area with that.
We're looking for 412, is that what we're,
Pardon me?
412, is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, 412, and then there's 312.
Yeah, so the area on the far left side, the bigger area, that's I think a 312 roof.
Okay, I just know that the agenda item doesn't have a specific. It just says less than the 812 roof. So approving the agenda item to me would mean anything's approved besides an A12.
Well, unless you specify with your motion.
Right, you could,
Specify
It's
the
as
motion.
presented.
right, as presented.
Now, as far as the responses, you've got the sheet in front of you. These are the people that Michael gave me as being within 200 feet. The text message came from someone, I think, at 500 Diamond Point.
Yes.
So it's
And he's on the
possible.
side of, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
He's on the side of the two 412 pitches. He faced, those two face his house.
So it's possible that Michael may have missed one. I don't know without, having the measurement. But of these people that he gave me to send letters to, the only response we got was from the people at 530. So the other people that we have responses from are from Emerald Sound, but they're not the people within 200 feet.
So Francis and Babylon, Baghdad, and all.
Yes, that's the only of the list of the packet of
What was their comment?
responses. They were in favor.
Thank you for going off the fence.
That's okay.
I think it's critical for this.
So it seems unlikely we'd have a unanimous vote, but it's possible. And would it be better to send it back to P and Z for another look with any altered designs that we've already talked about? Or would it be better just to see what happens and maybe get turned down and not come back? Maybe that's a question.
What is the difference if they table it and if we deny it? How much more do they have to go through to come back if we deny it as opposed to tabling it?
The ordinance talks about 6 months.
If we deny it,
Come back.
6 month delay.
Can they deny it with or without prejudice?
Well, that'd be with prejudice. I mean, if you denied it without prejudice, they could come back immediately.
And also, we already have started, we've got our grading permit, and we've been working on it for like 5-6 weeks now.
Well, personally, I have had a problem with this 812 or 86, whatever it is, rule because of architectural integrity. And if some house, it just doesn't look right with 812, there should be a way to have an exception for lesser houses. And I know at least one house in Eagles Landing is not anywhere close to that. And it was built just like 2 years ago. And that's very flat roofs. And my house wasn't rebuildable now. So I have an idea to somehow incorporate architectural integrity in the ordinance so that there might be a way. Because I agree that all the 812, if everything's the same, then it starts looking cookie cutter. And if you have other houses that are more modern with lower roofs and so forth, if it's designed to be 812 because of a leak only, I don't know, that maybe has some validity to it, but I know if it's our artistic integrity, some people are willing to risk a leak issue if they take other steps to prevent that. But I'm just a little conflicted on this and would like to, this I heard was more about a money thing, but it seems to me that it's our architectural integrity. So that's about all I have to say on that.
Steve, what can you comment about the architectural, approval of architectural submittal, the architectural control committee? They say partially approved, and I'm trying to read through this, but what's the net of that?
Talking about the HOA.
Yeah, we don't enforce HOA
What
guidelines.
did they say?
I didn't even read it. I just read that they approved it. So, yeah, they approved it, but we only enforce city codes, and we usually ask them to go ahead and get their HOA approval as well. So
There's it's similar to Eagles Landing. There's an oddness about the height of a building relative to the setbacks. It's a formula, and I think they were more trying to explain that away than having some less than. They weren't interested in They don't have the 812 rule like we do.
I'm not a home builder, but to me, it seems like having some variation in roof pitch instead of 812 all the way around is, some variation would give it more interest and look better, frankly. Is that a fair statement? Why?
Well, it's not just an 812. You can go in 812, 1012. You can have steeper and lesser. So it's not just that you have to have 812.
What's the highest pitch on the 812, the highest pitch on the?
I think he's got he's got some real pitches on
12 is 45 degrees, basically.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at this yellow piece out here, is there a front view? I'm not sure, is this the right side elevation? What's does this look like from the street?
I think we have some other ones in the packet.
You have to take it down some. I think you passed it. You just need to, you're zoomed into
Oh,
it.
here we
right?
go. Is that it?
That's the rear.
Yeah, that's the rear elevation. Keep coming down a little more.
There we go.
Zoom.
It's to the left.
Okay.
Scroll down.
The striped part, that's the metal. That one.
So go
Is
up there. That's fine.
That
Oh, no.
elevation. Is that-
It's right there. That's the left side.
So if you see the two buildings on the far third from the top, that's a front and rear elevation of an accessory structure that they wanted to place in front of the primary structure, which they're going to have to redraw some way to connect that to that house. Which I'm not certain how that plays with, if any kind of approval with the back of that accessory structure, because it doesn't, they'd have to redraw that, so I don't know.
Kurt's question was on the top one.
The top left just shows the left side of the house. That's the metal roof where the arrow is now, and then there's the one right under that dormer to the right.
I'm trying to get to this. What is it?
Go in, no, go, zoom in, it's the bottom right picture.
Yeah, I get, that's what I want, I guess what I want to see, right? That's the
Go,
front elevation.
zoom in some more. That picture right there.
That's
So who's got that pointer?
That striped area is like,
You want it?
Yeah.
so. Take it out there.
So this pointer works.
Yeah, that's a brand new one.
Show me which one they're.
Maybe you turned it off.
You're trying to see those two yellow?
Yeah.
These are the ones that are real question, right?
This thing not working. Oh, it's the next one.
Could we roll it down?
So that's the 312 right there in the front.
Yeah, this one here.
Right. I don't know where that other one's at.
Yeah, that there, or that one there, and then there's one above it.
You have,
Those are the two.
these are outside the primary roof, so I don't think those are really in question. I don't think that one might be. I don't know. Is that extended beyond the primary roof?
Yeah, that one's in the yellow.
Yeah.
The 312.
Isn't that the one Kurt's pointing at, right?
Yes. It's this one, and then there's that one up there.
And which one? Okay. That's not a 312.
That.
This one here.
Yeah, that's I can't read it.
That's the one.
If this is the left side elevation.
You ever have to decide.
So is this the 3-car garage, third car coming down right here?
Yeah, so if we go
Yes.
down to the view that we're not seeing, we move down to that one on the right, the large.
Oh.
Scroll down.
I think you gotta go to the next page.
There.
So that's the side view of that.
Right.
So that's that one.
But there showed to be 2 yellow ones on the left side. Where's that other pitch?
The other one is above
Is it that one right there?
Behind it, I guess is it actually hidden from
Yes.
view? This is the front. So it's only visible from 500 out of the park, then I guess.
Yes.
Is the depth of this house on the lot typical for Emerald Sound? Or is it way back? Is the depth of this house relative to the lot, front and back of the lot, is that typical or Emerald Sound? Or is this
No, this is way farther back than most. It's a 50-foot build line almost. But this one's 315, or to the main house, it's 375.
It is lakefront, right?
Or,
Yes.
That's lakefront. I'm inclined to agree with this because the mixed roof thing is widely recognized as better for avoid cookie cutter. There's been grandfathered in 10% of the houses in Emerald Sound. And so I'm reading notes here, sorry. More when I get a chance.
Yeah, so, I mean, the only real concern, right, just even this in the back, nobody see that, it's lakeside, not really an issue, right? This one over here, all your neighbors gonna see it, the neighbor that said, no, okay, this one here is what we're talking about, that's concern. The ones on the accessory structure, we could approve with the cutout that that's not involved. And they would have to come back with that structure because of the.
Yeah, I mean, I defer to Jeff on how you make that motion to not approve it on the accessory because the accessory wasn't approved as shown here, so it's.
Well, I mean, if you're approving less than 812, it's for the property, so.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so. I guess when it gets connected, that's gonna have to come back, but, I would say it's for the property.
And then if something has to change in this design and we approved it.
Yeah, if there's a change, something would come back. I mean, let's say they redesigned the roof for this, I would think it would come back to you.
and also the accessory building, it faces, the 6 garage doors face each other. So you don't even see the accessory building from the street.
Isn't there a plan that kind of
It's how
shows
it is
that?
on the, it's how it is on the color coded one.
So if you look on the right, if you can blow that up,
This is how this garage
Hang on.
was.
Whoops, there we go.
we're trying to show how that was showing. It was on the right. Just scroll over to the right.
There we
So
go.
that's how the house is designed to set up.
Right. This is the metal roofs, and it's gonna face the lake on the accessory building.
But
These-
these were the two,
But that's not.
these were the two garages.
So he's gonna have to somehow connect those. And they're gonna have to be on the same slab as the primary structure to be able to use this configuration. This configuration was denied.
By Board of Adjustment.
So, but there is a way that if it sets on the same slab as the house and the roof is a part of the same roof line, not a sliver, I mean, it's got to be a part of the roof line of the house, then, it would be considered like a porte-cochere and you'd be able to use it. But this configuration where it's open, it's just considered an accessory in front of the primary. So that had to go to the BOA and BOA did not approve that.
And the preliminary, talking to Michael Coker, he wants the roof from the main house to the accessory building the same width as the accessory building.
Right.
So those two metal roofs probably will disappear.
That's what I was saying. We have people that try to play games where they'll just put a little thin line roof across with some poles and call it connected. It's like, no, it's not connected. So
I recognize what my handwriting says. Only person only resident within 200 feet approved. Said it's okay. That's my third bullet, so to speak.
I'm focused on how 3 of the neighbors were opposed, and I agree with the staff recommendation to deny, but we can certainly look at the ordinance and consider an amendment.
Yeah, I don't want to be sitting here every month with another one of these in front of us. Perhaps.
Yeah.
and then we can do ordinance as appropriate.
We get it because of the time. Yes, that's why we got it because of the time.
Well, it would have came to you
When
anyway.
P and Z has a tie vote, that's a denial. And a recommendation that comes to you for denial takes a 3/4 vote to overcome that recommendation.
Which is all of us.
Which is, for a 7-member board, it's 6 of 7. And state law and the ordinance talks about the whole council. So when you got an absence, it's still the same number. It's 6 of the 6 present. Now, if there's a conflict of interest, you get to drop the number. But here we have an absent member here, or not here. So it has to be unanimous, it has to be 6 of 6.
So I would just say, so it's gonna take all of us to override, but what I would say is if we're sitting here saying, gee, maybe 812 is not an appropriate ordinance, and maybe we need to revisit that and take a look at it, and maybe there's some compelling reasons to do that, it would not make a lot of sense, and especially for these new citizens of Oak Point, to deny this and then come back and change the ordinance. And having had to go through all this and change all of their designs when, down the road, however long it takes the city to move, the ordinance gets relaxed. So we should keep that in mind. If we think this is not appropriate and we're contemplating a change in the future, then maybe this one before us now, we should consider thoughtfully.
But then, of course, if we do change the ordinance, then we'll still have to sit here at some point. It's something other than that ordinance.
But they'll go to a flat roof and.
What would be the
Well, this is a real consideration. I mean,
Right.
there's a reason the ordinance is there, and there's a reason that these other properties were grandfathered in, and there's a reason that properties that don't meet that ordinance are not in ordinance.
Right.
Definition.
That's correct.
I'm not sure any of us understand why the ordinance is written as it is.
Well, what I'm saying is that we couldn't rewrite, we could change it. I mean, maybe it should be revisited, but once we revisit that, then someone's going to do something other than that.
So,
That's an issue for another day.
Well, at some point, we need to stop the madness, right? And say, this is the ordinance, and this is what we're using as our standard. It's a standard for a reason, we'll move forward with it.
And I have no problem with that. I'm just saying that if we're really thinking, gee, this might change in 3 months or 6 months or whatever, it's burdensome on this particular homeowner, essentially.
yeah, I believe that Michael Coker said in one of these meetings that 812 was purely aesthetic.
Yeah, in Texas, 812 is an aesthetic. Up north where we have a lot of snow and ice, 812 is, a needed roof pitch to be able to get the ice and snow off your house so you don't add that additional weight. Here, Texas, it's just an aesthetic feature. Even as the mayor mentioned, maybe, you come back and revisit the zoning ordinance, and we have made, and I saw in Mr. Guerin, and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but I saw I'd mentioned that, we did provide an exception in the Windsor Springs, but we provided it on the back of the properties. And the only thing that's really ever given me any heartburn about this house personally is that it was on the front. And if we prove it on the front, then we're going to start getting more folks that want to do it on the front too. So I'd asked Mr. Guerin, was it possible to, to bring that 312 roof pitch up on the third car garage to an 812? See if that was an option. And if we were, then we'd only be talking about a small piece, only one small piece at that point to allow it. But yeah, I'm afraid that, we approve a 312 on the front, and, we're going to get a lot of, we're going to be doing this a lot.
Okay.
Excuse me, go ahead.
I was going to make a motion.
Steve, I was going to ask Stephen and Jeff a question. Is there any reason why we couldn't review the ordinance and have it come to council next month or the month after?
Well, for any zoning ordinance amendment, we have to publish notice, has to go to P&Z, publish notice, and then come to city council. So there's, next month, I think would be a little ambitious to get all that done. It would probably take 2 months, given the published notice and having to go to P and Z and city council. So you're probably looking at 2 months.
So getting back to the question we had earlier of being able to revisit this if we disapprove it. If we disapproved it, could they come back with a suggestion like Stephen has of just putting it on the back of the house?
I'm just reading the language of the ordinance. What the statute or the ordinance provides is that in denying approval of a zoning change request by, well, that's a zoning change. It talks about 6 months. I think for this request, if you want to say motion to deny without prejudice, if you want to say without prejudice, they could come back immediately. Now, we'd have to go through the P and Z and city council process, but they could come back. They would not have to wait a year.
Okay.
Was it a year or 6 months, Jim?
Or 6 months. The statute, the ordinance talks about 6 months.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion then, if we're done talking. That we send it back to P and Z for giving the builder a chance to make these few changes we've talked about, so it'll be more clear for the P and Z and hopefully a full P and Z board.
For further study.
For further study.
And recommendation.
Is there a second?
I'll second that. Let's get some motion.
Okay. There's a motion by Councilmember Dufford, and we have a second by Mayor Pro Tem Lusk. And we can have further discussion this time.
Yeah, I just wanted to be clear on what the motion actually is.
Yeah, I'm confused as well. I thought we were gonna act on.
Well, Jeff said earlier that we could send it back to P and Z, right?
You could, I mean, you have a tie vote, and they get a full participation from, P and Z, with the 7 members. So, I mean, and maybe there's some changes in the interim as well. And so, yeah, I think you could send it back to P and Z for further consideration.
So sending it back to P and Z so they can have a full vote is on the issue in front of us as opposed to denying this SUP request and then allowing them to come back with a change.
Yeah, basically the same, as I'm understanding it. If we denied it without prejudice, then they come back to the P and Z first, and then they come back to council after that.
Well, then that's what we should do because we're denying the proposal that's in front of us.
Jeff, may we ask if the builder is open-minded to making any changes?
Sure.
That would help us
Yeah.
decide whether or not to send it back to P and Z.
Yeah.
Are you open to making changes?
They're really set on building this home the way it is, the floor plan. And if we have to change things, we're gonna have to change things. I don't see any way around it. But I would really, there's nothing on the front of the house. It's 375 feet from the street. Nobody's ever gonna see it. And the one neighbor that's gonna look at the side 412 pitch, he's fine with it. He's 100% behind it.
To be clear, are you willing to make changes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, I'm still confused about the whole motion. One is to send it back, one is to deny it.
We only have one motion right now.
No, one motion to deny it. Should the motion be more worded, more that deny it and then without prejudice and then let cards fall as they may, or should we do?
Well, I think, the motion would allow P and Z to further study, and if it came back with a vote in favor, council would only need to have a majority vote. Let's say P and Z recommends approval 4-3, then it would just take a majority vote of council to approve it.
I understand that, but I mean, to me, it's not, no, notwithstanding what Scott done, the motion should be to deny without prejudice, period, and let handle it from there. Sending it back to me doesn't sound clean.
If
Or
you-
maybe that's-
But no, I mean, the code authorizes that, and, yeah, I mean, and you do have a, one member missing from the P and Z to give input in theory.
But so what are we doing? Kick it back to them so they can possibly end up, well, I guess even.
Yeah, I mean, based on whatever, other evidence they submitted and revisions, they could revisit.
So one more question. A motion to send it back does not require a unanimous.
That's just a majority vote.
So there is a compelling reason maybe to go in that direction.
Well, I mean, ultimately, so we do that, then what's gonna happen in the interim that's gonna make it different in the future for this situation if it came back to us, we're not, so.
You get to decide again.
Change the ordinance. We're giving them the opportunity to go before a full board,
I think it's
which we don't know how that vote would have
I think it's
gone.
worthwhile.
And it could change. Personally, though, I find it very, I have voted against P and Z recommendation previously. It takes a lot for me to do that. I think it carries a lot of weight, and we have to respect our boards and the work they do.
Put it time. So we indicate.
Well, it's in effect a denial.
Yeah.
That's what the rules
I agree.
say. So it's a denial.
Yeah. Well, no,
Right now, we would be reversing P and Z.
I understand.
Sending it back to the full board, if we just send it back, it's as if we're saying, hey, you need to look at this again. If we send it back with a denial, it's saying we respect your decision, but we'd like the full board to review. It's a semantic.
But I mean, the fact is, whether there's a tie vote that causes a denial or a 4-3 vote that causes a denial.
It's a denial. If it
And
comes,
all the members of the board knew that a split vote would be a denial. So whether that vote was made, is still, as you said, effectively, is no.
Restate the motion, please.
What I have written down is motion to send to P and Z for further study and recommendation.
No timeframes or anything. Just-
No. I mean, it would go back to, I would say, the next P and Z meeting, because you don't have to republish anything.
That doesn't address any potential changes that they
Well,
might.
that'd be up to the applicant.
The reasonable ordinance change, I know it's not on the agenda, but the reasonable ordinance change would be like A12 pitch for 70% of that square area of the roof and down to 312 for the other 25%. Is that some kind of thing that you see in the ordinances or not, Jeff?
I'm not an expert on roof pitch.
But you can review
But
it.
I could look around, see what other cities have done. Sure.
I'm just trying to think out, not out loud, what kind of ordinance.
Yeah.
It's on the
Roof
agenda.
pitch is a little bit outside
It's
my.
on the agenda.
So can you do something as vague as architectural integrity and let BOA or somebody
Yeah,
determine what that is?
I'd have to look that.
Any further discussion or questions?
Yeah.
Are we ready to vote?
So I understand the motion before us, but the other option would be denial without prejudice.
Well, right now, you only have one motion.
Well, I understand that, but in order, but this is my question. And then now with prejudice, let's say this was, I don't know what this motion means. For that, then, what does that mean? Well, how would that?
Well, they, with prejudice, they can't come back for 6 months.
Right. So without, doesn't mean that they end up going back to planning, so.
No, we'd have to go through the whole process again, P and Z and.
So it has to be republished. and-
Republished.
So denial without prejudice means that they could go back, but we have to do all the publishing. If we just send it back, then we don't have to do all the publishing.
Right, if council votes to send it back, there's no republishing.
So really,
It's a little bit more expedited.
But so really, there's kind of three things that we can say no. Or we can say, hey, we're gonna have you start over again. Or we can say, which is gonna go back to P and Z anyway, and go through the whole process. Or we can say, we'll just send it back to P and Z.
in a more expedited fashion, and that's what's in motion here.
Any other questions? Are we ready to vote?
Scott, would you consider withdrawing your motion with changes to denial without prejudice?
Well,
You don't have to, of course.
no, yeah, I mean, I would say, you know, if it fails, it fails, that's fine. I'd vote for the other one too.
That's fine. So I ask,
Jody, we may have a split vote. Would you do a roll call vote for us, please?
Yes. So the motion is to send it back to P and Z.
For further study.
For
And the
further discussion.
recommendation.
Okay. So the motion was made by Councilmember Dufford. Your vote?
My vote is,
Aye.
yeah,
I'm just going to support it.
We're gonna do a roll call
A
vote.
split-
Second was made by Mayor Pro Tem Lusk. Councilmember Horatio.
Nay.
Councilmember Klawicki.
Nay.
Councilmember Weiler.
Aye.
And Mayor Meek.
Aye.
Okay, so we have order to go back to P and Z.
Thank you. Agenda item number 12, consider an act on a resolution to nominate a candidate to serve on the DIMCO Board of Managers. Johnny?
DIMCO has reached out to us to let us know that we have the opportunity to nominate a candidate to serve on, or to be elected to their board. We don't have to do that, but I think you might like the opportunity to nominate someone. So we have that opportunity tonight.
It is the term of Jim Carter that's expiring, and he would like to serve for another term. I recommend that we nominate Jim Carter.
make it a motion.
We have a motion from Deputy Mayor Pro Tem Lusk, and we have a second from Councilmember Horatio. Any further discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The motion passes unanimously. 13, consider an act on adoption of a resolution amending Chapter 110, Section 2A of the City of Oak Point Human Resources Policies and Procedure Manual to add Juneteenth as an official city holiday. Stephen?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Back in 2021, the federal government adopted Juneteenth as a federal holiday. And I think, as you all know, Juneteenth was typically a Texas celebrated event. But the purpose of the resolution is to add Juneteenth to the federal holiday list of official city holidays. We currently looked around, and many of our neighbors, including Denton County, City of Denton, Crossroads, Little Elm, all as well have Juneteenth as well as a part of their proposed holiday. The resolution basically seeks to add Juneteenth as one of the city's holidays. And it removes, and the other thing it does, we're also amending a section of our ordinance that talks about defining holidays as an 8-hour straight rate, which is no longer really accurately describes how our employees are structured now for holidays. But that's the motion to add Juneteenth as a federal holiday to our list, and as well as striking a section of our code that talks about 8 hours as a straight rate. And staff recommendation is to approve the resolution adding Juneteenth and remove the obsolete administrative language.
I'd like to make a motion. Make a motion to approve the resolution amending Chapter 110, Section 2.81, so the City of Oak Point Human Resource Policy and Procedure Manual to add Juneteenth as an official city holiday to correct the
The
policy.
administrative language.
Administrative language that's required.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Lusk, and we have a second by Councilmember Weiler. Any further discussion or questions?
How many holidays will we now have a year? Wow. How about Groundhog Day?
I think a few of them would go for that.
I think it's important that we follow what the county does. So much of our business is interaction with the county, and if they're not there, we can't do business.
So how much does it cost to have a holiday?
You know, it really, I don't know. So I can get you that number. But I don't have that number. We did look at an impact, and the impact was very small to add the holiday for the year. You know, we already have the salaries budgeted in, but we will have to add some holiday pay for on-duty firefighters and whatnot. So it will have a little bit of a budgetary impact, but not enough that is going to put our budget out of whack in any way.
Well, didn't we just do that this Friday?
That's not a holiday.
Yeah, that's not really a holiday. Yeah.
Oh,
We did, yes.
but we're working longer in the week,
Yeah.
so the time is the same. in
So
essence.
Jeff's little list here, it would be 15, so that's basically one holiday a month, a little more.
Any other discussion or questions? If not, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, we have a split vote, and Councilmember Horatio was the nay. Thank you. 14, discuss and provide direction to city staff regarding topics for the summer 2024 edition of the Country Place Bulletin. Joni?
Well, it's that time again. It seems like we just did one, but it's time to plan for the next one. So if you guys have any specific topics that you would like us to have in the summer newsletter, other than what we have, unusual.
So came up a little earlier in Chief's presentation on fire prevention and burning. Could you possibly write something up about best practices for burning, even though, the ordinance, like you said, is pretty narrow, but could we maybe remind people that it's beyond just the ordinance, it's best practices and consideration of neighbors.
Concerns and things that could easily get posted in the fire.
Yep, we can do something like that.
Especially coming into, like I said, the summer season too, which is you campfires or your grills in the head or your grills outside.
Yeah.
In the evening.
If you could do that, that'd be great. Okay.
So when is this one coming up?
I'd like to have these in people's mailboxes the first week of June.
Well, we had a mayor recently pass away. I haven't seen anything from the city out there. Maybe some.
We could do something,
Or something, but-
We did have it on our website and on Facebook. Yeah,
It's a great idea, Kurt.
but that's a good idea.
Yes. Thank you.
Since we stopped mailing these to the people that aren't actually requesting it, are we tracking how many people are looking at it
Online.
online?
I'm not, but I'm sure we can pull that from, I think that the website company,
We can probably see how many times it's been downloaded. I'll have to look and see.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that,
we're only mailing to, I think, 65 people.
that's, because the other people haven't requested it.
Right.
They have to do a positive action. And just, I'm really wondering because, when it comes in the mail, which mine comes in the mail, because I like it in the mail, I take it in the house and I always look at it. And if it doesn't come in the mail, I'm not gonna think to myself, oh, it's, quarters up, I better get over there and take a look at the city newsletter. So I really wonder if we're getting
We
the
do,
information where we need it. We want to be improving communication with the citizens. And I think maybe we've withdrawn that a little bit.
we did turn on the option that they could, how you can go on the website and request notification when an agenda comes out or whatever. We did add the newsletter to that because we did have people ask us about that. We had a number of people say, we don't want it mailed to us, we would rather look at it on the website. can we be notified? In fact, I think Deborah was one of them, and I think she was the one that prompted me to look into that. So if they sign up for it, they will get a notice, just like they would get it for agendas or,
But I think a lot of people, it just doesn't come and they forget about it.
that's possible.
It's not a thing. You know, oh, my newsletter's not coming anymore. I doubt if more
Did
than
we-
a couple of people have that thought cross their mind.
Do we push that
But
out
I'd kind of
to
like us to
Facebook as
think
well?
about maybe putting that out again as a hard copy issue to all the citizens. I think we've really lost some of that communication with our citizens by not having that. And then maybe we could even look at it as having, maybe revamping and having more to it than we're having now.
Dave, we've got the budget workshop coming up. One of the reasons we discontinued was the cost. Can you bring that up and
Sure.
review that, all the options? When we
Sure.
have our
I think we
budget
ought to bring up options, various options about communication. I know we've been working on other things. I know it's not on the agenda, but I think it should be a pointed subject and we should stick with it.
And one of the other things that we ran into with, and why the costs have gone up tremendously anyway, but the way the mail routes are laid out, I think we caught most of the city, but Wildridge, which only has a small portion of the city, wasn't getting reached. We were getting questions from them, can we get it? To add Wildridge and the people in the ETJ was going to almost double the cost. So that's when we came, I think it was at our last budget meeting last year that we discussed this and came up
Because
with it.
we were doing them on bulk mail routes or something, and somehow how that bulk mail route fell, it was no longer catching Wildridge any longer, so we would have to move to first class mail to cover everybody, and that was going to skyrocket the price. So to try to make sure everyone got one. So yeah, I think we can look at a lot of options, as far as going back and reprinting them and doing them all, sending them first class mail, maybe pushing more information out about sign up to receive notice that the new newsletters dropped. I know we already push it to our Facebook page with a link. So yeah, that's a discussion we can have. Yeah.
I think I might have someone to do a veteran spot. I'll work on it, let you know.
Okay.
And I think we've been getting some complaints, and we get them from time to time about septic smells, and I've done more research on septic systems than I cared to, but I've located some do's and don'ts, so I want to maybe put some do's and don'ts and maybe in English and Spanish in there and get that out on septic systems.
Any other suggestions for staff? Okay. Agenda item 15, discuss costs of future road improvements. Stephen?
So I don't have any kind of presentation tonight, but we are working on that. I'm working with the engineers to put together some spec that we can be able to put out the bid, because anything we do, even with the chip seal, is going to be well beyond $50,000, which is our bid limit. So we have to have some way to identify to say this is what we want to do. This is however they want to structure that, whether it's a 2-course, 1-course, 2-course, how much level up if we need to do any reconditioning of any areas. So we are working on that. We're also working on the McCormick Road as far as getting that set up for opinion and probable cost. We're looking at, up at 720 portion, maybe you're looking at so many feet of that being 4-lane per what the comprehensive plan says, and then maybe narrowing down again to once we get past maybe 400 feet, we come down to maybe 3 lanes. And then once we get past Winchester, we then, kind of go back to a road dot as well and drop down to maybe 2 lanes. So it kind of transitions as the traffic drops off. And then we've got some issues, not really issues, but, Bloomfield is responsible for a portion of the funding of that. And then we have the Denton County funding on that. So we have some things to work through, but we are actively working that. So.
Thank you. 16, discuss prairie land reclamation.
Not so much a discussion, but just an update on research that I've done about what Louisville is doing. So I found out that Louisville, I kind of had the impression they had ordinances to encourage it, but they don't. And so they have the same rules that we do for foot tall grass. it needs to be cut and so forth. So really, they have a three-prong approach to what they're trying to do, as I understand it. For residential, they have what's called a Roots for Wings program, which the mayor talked about at depth. It requires registration to attend a class and other things. They don't have a cost for it, but there was a price list I saw, so I'm not sure I got competing information there. And when completed, when somebody completes the course, then they get a sign that says they're approved, it's approved to do the prairie land planting there. And however, the code officer does inspect it regularly as to make sure it's what it's supposed to be, and he has the power to override the wings program, Roots for Wings program, and make them cut it. So it's a little bit of gray area there. Gardeners must recertify every 3 years, and they actually have a staff person dealing specifically with this. So pretty tall orders there. And the third thing is they're public property in Louisville, right of ways or medians or under the power poles, they can just do what they want. And no code needed for that. So from our perspective, doing it residential is just out of reach for now, and for quite a while probably. Commercial areas could be encouraged to do the areas that would be appropriate, maybe in the planning process or developers agreement. And then for city public areas, we just need to identify which areas would be appropriate and make budget plans, or the park board needs to make a budget plan, however we decide to go there. And there is a cost, as we talked about, getting it started. Once it's started, it saves money on mowing and watering. So it's a long process for us and I'm thinking just start with what we're doing is a place in the park, and then try to identify some places around the city that might be appropriate for this kind of thing, and then try to figure out how to budget it. So nothing really imminent. We just kind of have to wait and see how the park board deals with the area of Jake's place and see how it goes. And I think we just need to be aware of the process, and it may be forced on us in the future as we start running out of water. So I think it's definitely a good thing to be thinking of.
Thank you.
I agree.
What?
Good work, Scott.
Question, why do you think it's not appropriate for residential, for people to have a wildflower garden if that's what they want to have?
Well, mainly it's they have to go through the process. There's a person on the city board that just deals with on the city
Well, that's
staff.
Louisville. That's
Yeah.
not Oak Point.
No, and so the main thing I see is the difference between somebody just saying, I don't want to do it, put a sign out, and then just let it grow. And it's just really weak. And have a staff person be able to say, well, that's not what you need. And we need to have a program, a course of some kind to teach them how to do it, because it isn't real easy. And mainly those are the two things: that how do you enforce it if somebody just wants to abuse it, and how do we take the time to have a course every so often, and a code officer going around and checking that they're doing the right thing.
So maybe in the future.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem to be an easy.
Nothing like the government getting involved in what kind of garden we want to have here.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. 17, update on facilities expansion. Steve, oh wait, that's Councilmember Weiler asked for it, but Stephen's going to respond.
Sure. So we're really to the final phase of this. The project was really in 4 phases. It was, the phase 1 was programming and block 4 planning, which had multiple phases underneath, which was programming requirements, and cost, block floor planning, site planning. Then we went to conceptual design, which was, refine that floor space, and then, exterior and conceptual type designs, and then started looking at cost estimates. And then I missed something somewhere. Then we get to our final report, which is, our programming report, our room by room construction cost, preliminary project schedules and whatnot. So the architects have been asking us, what do we want these buildings, conceptually to look like to some degree. They're not looking to design them. They're looking to design a cost, to look, if you're looking at a hill country style, then, that cost is probably different than a modern style or whatnot. So, but we're really getting to the part where we're finishing this up to get cost on this, for the presentations of what the needs are. I mean, if you go back and look at some of the reports, I'd already reported some of the items, like, they've already determined based on what PD had pointed out that PD really needs about 15,000 square feet. A fire station needs about 14,500 square feet, and City Hall needs about 14,000 square feet. And we currently all share 14,000 square feet. So there's quite a bit of a need. And then, that's going to, once we get this report finalized, then that's going to start triggering in some other areas of, how do we do this? How do we pay for it? Where are we going to locate these things? Where's the property going to be located? And then we're kind of into some of these other issues with HAF. We're looking at these form-based codes, and so we want our City Hall and our fire departments to kind of meet our form-based codes. So we kind of need to work through all that. So we have a lot of things working. Some things happen with HAF and some of their leadership leaving, which is really throwing us a little bit for a loop in timing. We've got a meeting tomorrow with our advisory committee of that group to go over some of this stuff with HAF. But that's where we are with this architectural space needs. Is we're finishing it up. I mean, I'm thinking probably within the next month they should be submitting a plan. Not really a plan, but they should be able to make a presentation to council on needs, space requirements, cost, all that sort of things that we need to look at for planning for the future, and what we need to look at, and what it's going to cost us to build these facilities, and how we plan to do that. Now, I mean, they're not going to tell us how we do that, but we're going to have to figure out how we're going to do that. So.
We'll fold that into the budget talk.
Yeah, I think that's probably a big budget discussion. Yeah, no doubt.
Any other questions for Stephen? Thank you, Stephen.
You bet.
Thank you, Steve. Okay.
Number 18 is future agenda items. I would like to add review and make recommendations for the code for roof pitch, please. Anything else, council? We can always send something in.
Update for the ambulance system.
Update on ambulance from Mayor Pro Tem Lusk.
Plans.
I'm not sure it's necessarily an agenda item, but I've heard some things about video quality. People are happy they have video here, but we upgrade that.
No, I mean, we just need to buy a better camera.
Well, it doesn't have to be a $10,000 setup.
Right. I mean, that's a $20 camera up there. So, we weren't sure this was going to work, because trying to make it work through our system was proving to be impossible and very expensive. So we tried to take a lower budget approach and said, hey, let's see if we can make this work. And it's proven to work pretty well for the most part, but we just need a better camera. So, yeah. And so, I mean, we've had, this is the third, fourth meeting we've used it. So, we can see that it is working. And so maybe it's time to step up from a $15 Amazon camera to maybe a $30 Amazon camera. So
I had to watch someone that's not just the video, it's audio.
yeah, I'm not real sure how to handle that. That's where we get into the more expensive. I mean, everything's audioing off of this mic sitting in front of me, so they're probably hearing me very well. The rest of you, I'm not so certain.
So it would help if we look in that direction and project
Yeah,
there, right?
maybe.
Instead of using these.
I mean, if there's a way to, I'm sorry? Yeah, don't yell at me.
Those were our other recording system that we originally recorded on and are still recording.
It's kind of just a pair of buckets, maybe there is like you said, it doesn't have to be $10,000 a year, but
maybe something a little.
I mean, we see it's working, so, you know, maybe there's a way that we figure out, step up and, you know, maybe now we buy a better camera and maybe figure out how, you know, we can improve the sound quality as well.
So can you do a head count of viewers?
We can see how many people are viewing, but I can't see how many people have repeated viewers and how many times it's us that have looked at it. So, because I mean, it came in handy a time, or at least I know one occasion where our system wouldn't run. We couldn't get it to go. Right. So we just said, you know, we were going to have to reboot everything, which was going to take 5 or 10 minutes. Let's just go with what's live and go with that.
It's good to have a backup.
So we just ran with that, and I think we can hear it well enough when we're doing minutes. So.
Okay, any other items? If not, the meeting is adjourned at 7:37. Thank you to everybody that came tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Right, fireworks.
Yes, I think that